Hey guys, Patrick here in Southwest Fort Worth, and this is going to be a bigger video today because I wanted to give a longer video, kind of the whole fish room, what I have going on, how I did the fish room, everything. So to begin, I want to start off with when I had the fish room built, kind of the plans and stuff. So we'll actually start off outside of the fish room, and I'm going to give you an outside view of the sunroom that is my fish room. So I went and I had this sunroom addition built onto the house, and the thinking was, and I'll back up some, the thinking was that, you know, you make a new car, there's the sunroom that is the fish room. For a new car, its payment that you're making for like at least 5 years with full coverage insurance, you know, for the same price, I could have an addition built, a sunroom addition built to the house, have a fish room, and then when I sell the property, I can recoup that cost. In my area, about 85% of your cost you recoup on a regular sunroom. This has 2x6 walls. I hired a contractor to do this, and so I should get more than 85% on recouping costs. I do have two totes out here that are plumbed together, and I've got a gutter here that I clean out often, especially before it rains. And the water comes in here, and that's a little top that I cut off, but then on the top, I'll show you. It's kind of a pre-filter before the pre-filter, pre-filter. Anyway, stuff gathers there, and then as it comes up, the water comes in to here, and there's the hose where it comes out. So the water is pre-filtered. You have all of this where the heavier materials go, and then finally the water comes in, and it comes into the tote. And I try to keep this always about half full, somewhere around there. I mean, it's 500 gallons here, or 275, so 550 if it's totally filled up. Right now, it's at right below the 125 mark. So for that, with two totes, it's right under 250 gallons. I also have a hose that I just have regularly put on here, so it never runs empty, and I just have a timer on my hose that if I need to fill it up a bit, I can. I dechlorinate it sometimes, but sometimes I don't have to worry about it because the flow into the fish room is so slow. So here's a black line that goes in. It's got a little pump. Let's show that. It's got a little pump there, and that pump is, let me see here. That pump is always pumping water, and part of that tees off. It goes into the top of this other tote. It pumps in from this tote, pumps water out over here, so there's the water is constantly being moved and aerated, and the other line comes over here. It comes up through this vent, and then as it comes up into the vent, it comes into fish room at two spots right there, and I've got carbon in there, so it even gets filtered through carbon as it comes in. Gets filtered through carbon as it comes in, and then on this side, it comes in right here. So I have water constantly coming in through there on the outside. And of course, those who've seen the automatic water change setup will have seen this before. But then I have a line right here that is filtered through there, three-stage filtration, goes up, and is then also running in right there's one, The other line goes over there. It shoots in there. There's Spidey hanging out. Anyway, it shoots over there. So I've got two sources of water coming in to the fish room. When I had this sunroom built, I had two drain areas go in, and so on both sumps I've put a drain on the sump. You can see one in the back, right there, and that's where the overflow comes, and so the old water drains out, new water comes. And I'll talk a bit about how these. I'll talk a bit about how these IBC totes inside work to filter all of these tanks. Yeah, all these tanks. It's part of the filtration for them. Filtration for all these tanks. So I've got these IBC totes that are cut aquaponic style. I was looking at different aquaponic videos years ago, and they have these cut aquaponics systems that have grow beds on the top for different produce. On the bottom, you have a place for fish, and they'll put trout or catfish or tilapia. And I thought if it can handle the bioload of those bigger fish, then certainly it can handle the bioload of smaller aquarium fish. But scouring the internet, I couldn't find anyone who had kind of linked the two. So I did my own. This is why I had a sunroom built, is because I wanted sunlight to come in to grow these plants. I wanted it to be sun that was growing them. I didn't want to put any lights on them. The tanks, I'll have lights so I can see the fish, and aquatic plants can grow. But as far as these grow beds, I wanted sunlight, which is why it's a sunroom. And what happens with these is this thing is a grow bed. So it's a flood and drain system. It's got a bell siphon over here. I've got, if you look, I've got peace lily, there's pothos, Yerbia mensa, I've got some tomatoes in the other one. As far as plants go, I've got bamboo. There's bamboo. We got some aloe. We got a sweet potato. Saw that in the video. Decided to do it. I put two. One was kind of rotting. This other one's like making a plant grow up. That's cool. The roots are coming down in here. Cool part about this grow bed is I've got, I'll show this, but I do have some fish that are in this grow bed. Some Odessa barbs that were in this holding tank and they came out. And there's fish in these grow beds. I've got various cichlids and whatnot. The flood and drain system, so the water comes in right here, fills up, and then this right here is a bell siphon. You see it? And there's a PVC coming up. And what happens with the bell siphon is once the water comes to the level where it'll start overflowing into that PVC that's inside the bell siphon, it will create a suction, and that will create a siphon, and the siphon will go until it breaks where it's cut at the bottom there. Breaks the siphon, and then it all does it again. Flood and drain, filtering water, coming back into the sump. And the sump is one pump. And the pump comes up. And it comes over here where I've got these valves, and I can control water flow. There's water coming in from the sump into these hang-on back filters that I've accumulated. This is a working fish room, guys. I get a lot of comments about how people are just refreshed that this isn't like spick and span polished fish room. This is a working fish room. A lot of people like that. You know, I mean, I try to stay on top of stuff, but there's so much I've got happening. Like I've got these cherry barbs I've got to move because they've gotten too big, and then I'll have to breed something else in here. So I've always got stuff that I'm playing around with, working with, but the fish are loving it. I mean, these are all Bozeman rainbows. I'm able to do stuff in this fish room that I've dreamed about doing in the past, and I haven't been able to, like breeding Bozeman rainbow fish. But I'm breeding them now. I'm breeding all these fish that I've just read up on in the past, but never was able to breed them. And now I'm breeding them. There we go. It's a better focus for all the Bozeman in there. But anyway, so it goes in. The hang-on-back filters, there's that freshwater line I talked about earlier. Goes in, and a lot of these some are drilled. A lot of them, I think most are drilled. And then I have some because I wanted more flow with either DIY or I just bought one, overflow, hang-on-back overflows. To heat this room, I have one heater down here. It's putting the hot air down. Fan just for circulation. This is in the winter, by the way. And then elevated a bit, I've got this dehumidifier that is on right now. It drains water to the drain. And that's how the fish room is filtered. That's cool. And now, so it goes from that hang-on back filter, drains down onto this hang-on back filter. This tank has a drilled part, and then I've got an overflow because I wanted more flow from this. Let me speak about this too. So I've got these net breeders. I got it like Walmart.com for less than $2 each, and because I was trying to figure out something to keep. I say keep fish out. This one got in. Some of them are tighter than others. But I didn't really want any fish getting to the overflow. You know, sometimes it still happens. So, but again, working fish room, just what it is. It works really well in some tanks, and some they get in through the bottom and stuff. That's all right. It just depends on what I put in the tank. So there, on this overflow comes down to the bottom level, and then from that. Sorry, look at that Bozeman eye. Just lights aren't even on yet, and they're colored up. They're looking cool. And then it goes and it drains into a gutter. And the gutter goes all the way around. The gutter goes all the way around. Right there. Oh, and you can see So, I'm glad. So now we're at the draining portion. So this water's draining now. The bell siphon is siphoning water. It's going to drain all the way down on this grow bed. Drains all the way down, then it does that over and over and over again. Drain and fill, drain and fill. Filtering water. That other water line coming into the grow bed as well. Drain and fill all day long. Filtering all these tanks. And then I've got the hang-on back filters also. I've got sponge filters, under gravel filters. There's a lot of filtration happening in the tanks and the plants. And I'll talk about that too. A lot of these hang-on back filters, they've got plants in the back of them. A lot of my pothos ivy, and the pothos ivy grows, which I am cool with because that's more water filtration. That's beneficial to my fish, which is the number one thing. So we got more that are going. That water being filtered. All them plants, and as the ivy grows, I go and I nail it. So I'm gonna take this, all of this, and I'm gonna put some of these nails and just have it running across, so it stays out of my way, but it's still growing throughout. So I think that's cool. Here's the other grow bed. You can see the peace lilies that are over here. Got one ivy growing up. It's Tower of Babel over there. So here's my experiments. I put two of these sweet potatoes because I saw some video. I didn't know that the leaves will grow like that, but that's cool. The other one didn't grow, so it was just kind of rotting, so I put it out. But there's the bamboo, all the pothos. It's funny, I have these fish tanks in here, it's kind of holding tanks. This one in here, I had a bunch of Odessa barbs I was going to move. I put them in there. Well, they all got out, and they're actually in, see them there? They're in the grow bed. I can't get them out. Sometimes I use the suction. I'll get some of them. There's a lot in there. Stuff gets in the grow bed. That's all right. Stuff gets in the sump. I've got guppies. I've got some various cichlids in there that have just gotten in, or they're too mean and I throw them in there. And this one I've got guppies. I've got a random lab, yellow lab that got in there somehow, I guess when it was a fry. I even got a giant Placo somebody needed a home for, and I'm like, oh, I'll put it in my sump. That'd be a great home for this Hippostomus picossimus. So I've got a giant, there's a big Placo right there. So I talked a bit about stuff that I've just always wanted to like breed and be able to do, and I'm able to now with this fish room. Here's a great example. I don't know why the fryer, the parents are keeping the fry on the side here. Maybe they like the sunlight, maybe they like the seclusion, I don't know. But one thing I'm able to do is I've got angelfish rearing up their own babies. Maybe they're about to lay eggs again and I need to move them. I don't know. This is the first time they've reared up fry though, so super excited about that. There's an albino red. We got some frying here with it. There's also some bristlenose on the bottom somewhere. Got some guppy grass in here growing and some hornwort. We got a Amazon sword in there. Some praycocks, neon rainbow praycocks. And I filled this thing with plants just because I want them to have babies in that tank. There's one bristlenose in there as well. My Moscow Blacks. A lot of them with that Geisen gene, that ribbon fin. Trail in there. Regular red. I've got a yellow female. But I had a male in there that I wanted her to breed with, and I took him out. Now she'll have 3 or 4 batches or so. In fact, there's 2 batches in there already. I've got some shrimp in here, probably in the back. Talk about this in another video, but it's just this Sterilite container I drilled in the back. It's come out. They're my crebenses and guppies that I added as dither fish. Down here a bit. Crebensi's been getting pretty big on the spawning mock right now. And behind it. Got some plecos in here and some blue guppies somewhere. There. Some more plecos and what I have left of the on this side. What I have left of my peacock gudgeons. I think they like cooler temperatures. I think my fishery might be a bit too warm for them. I try to keep it so the tanks are between like 80, 82 degrees. And I think it's just, it might be too warm for them, so. I mean, I've bred them before, but with everything else breeding, I'm not going to change it. It's kind of like the plants, the fish. I'll see what works. Whatever works stays, and if it doesn't, then I won't be breeding that. Though I do like them, they're really cool. Parents. Let's color it up. Those midnight rainbows with a random Blue Colombian tetra that got in there, and a black skirt tetra in there as well. Yes, I do need to wipe the algae there. They're right here by the window. But algae doesn't hurt fish, so I'm okay with it. I just have to wipe it off so I can have a better view. More things to do in the fish room. There's that batch. This batch I showed earlier. And the newest batch. down here. There's quite a few in there. Some people hate the red gravel. I like the red gravel in the blue background. I saw it in a Petco ad once, years ago. And I liked it. So I did it. Platies. A group of the black skirt tetras, glowfish, Odessa barbs, cribs in the bottom. One tank growing out. The other tank going out. Big mysteries now. Cherry barbs. Gotta wipe that glass. Speaking of wiping glass, I'm always wiping this glass. That's alright. Still waiting for these guys to breed. Maybe my room's too hot. I don't know. If they don't, I'll just sell them. Yeah, what do they call Lampologus ocellatus, I believe. Shell dwelling cichlid. Lake Tanganyika, I think. I'm not a big cichlid guy, but I do love these celestial pearl danios. And they're breeding just fine everywhere. Fry up here. A lot of times there is. I don't see any right now though. Alright. Down here we have the N-class Starburst Endlers. And here, the 46 bow front, I've got various cichlids. There we go. That's better. I gotta clean the algae on this glass. Up here, black mollies and blue platies. Oh, I've got in this stir-like container, I've got some Taiwan red shrimp. They're in there somewhere. Anyway, that is this side of the room, and this group that's on this aquaponics filtration. So now we move on to this side. All I've got up there is some shrimp, that 90 gallon. Here I've got some angelfish growing out, 2 generations of them. Roseline barbs, cardinal tetras, neon tetras, rummy nose tetras, and ember tetras. I'm kind of doing a little experiment with a lot of these tetras. I say the roseline barbs, Denison barbs. I also got some crystal nose platos in there. But I found this little, I don't know what it is. It was at a thrift store. Kind of fits in here. Every evening after feeding, I'll throw some of the cardinals and neons, rummies and ember tetras in there, I just started it like 2 days ago. And then in the morning, right before I feed, I move them back. And we will see if this is like peat filtered RO water. Well, RO mix, but it's got a lot of peat, like a layer of peat. So it's nice and dark. Because I know that the cardinal neon tetras eggs are light sensitive. And so we'll see if I get some fry like that. And we'll go and do a tour of these tanks. So I'll turn on the lights so that we may see them. All my lights are on timers. They got an on-off cycle. Algae still grows, but yeah, it's all good. I'll come up here. So I've got, I'll have to look at it from this side, or the other side rather. There's the dwarf quarries. Whatever side I go to the opposite. There's nothing in that tank. That tank are the cherry barbs that I've grown out. We'll go back and see the paradise fish and the other set of cribs I have up in those tanks. Here I've got a pair blue rams. That's the female, and the male's down there. Wait for them to lay eggs again. Any day now, because she's getting big. Rio atop a sword over here. Swordtails. There's a lot of fry in here. Oh, there's some. Anyway. Here are the angels. Growing up. Growing up quick. Got one Odessa barb that got in here somehow, and then I've got a Mecha Splendens. I bought as a mercy bid. I just want to come over here and see the celestial pearl danios that are out. Trying to just sneak up on them. But they all start swimming back and hiding. The big 125. Odessa bars, black skirt tetras. There's one glowfish in there. That's some of the, what do you call it, pork chop reservoir, I think it's called. Those are cool. Denison barbs. Black skirt tetras. Long fin and regular fin. Tiger barbs. Bozeman rainbows. Ruby barb. Man, those Denison barbs look good. Sometimes I love just sitting and watching this tank. It's so cool. Oh, and while I'm remembering, both of these systems have a UV sterilizer hooked up to them. Precautionary, figured why not. Some various corridoras and red blue Colombian tetras that are growing out. Alright guys, that was a more complete update of the fish room. If you like that, do hit the subscribe button down below. and you get notifications of when I put other videos out, and that way you can be updated on some of the fish and stuff. If you're interested in buying some of these fish, do shoot me a message. I do have some of these fish for sale, and thanks for watching. See ya.